Welcome to No Flipping Excuses with Jason Lucchese. Jason Lucchese was the guy voted least likely to succeed by his high school peers. Today, Jason's a real estate flipping ninja Jedi Knight assassin who's taken his drive, street smarts, and never give up attitude and converted them into a real estate flipping business and freedom-based lifestyle. Here to share the truth about flipping houses, finding sellers, delivering buyers, real estate investing without the reality show hype, and all-around general business badassery. Your host, Krav Maga enthusiast, husband and father of 3, Jason Lucchese.
Hey, what's up? It's Jason Lucchese, and welcome to the No Flipping Excuses show. I've got an exciting episode in store for you. I've got my good friend Michael the Myth Brett Hauer with me. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Jason. Good to be back again. I know we had a couple of interviews, and then we wanted to come back and talk about a topic that a lot of students have been asking to learn more about: sales.
Yeah, sales, if you cannot get yourself over the fear of talking to somebody either face-to-face, over the internet through email or Facebook Messenger or other social networking platforms, however you are getting your message across to folks, if you cannot get yourself over that fear, you are not going to see the results that you desire. And that's why Mike and I wanted to come together for this particular episode and really hammer down on some of the tactics that we are using to get more sales and to get the results that we desire. Right, Mike?
Yeah, so really, it's about selling. If you can't sell yourself as a good real estate investor to the person you're trying to buy a house off of, then you can't do your job effectively. It's not about, conning somebody out of something. It's about, presenting yourself that you are the one that can be the problem solver. If you can't display that and show that to them, then, that's like the first step you got to overcome.
It absolutely is. And what I've seen from being in this industry for so long, and I say so long, but compared to a lot of other folks, maybe it's not as long, but I've been in the sales world since I got out of high school in 2001. I started selling knives. And a lot of people are like, why are you selling knives? And I said, hey, this is a really, really great opportunity for me to earn a huge amount of money within a very short period of time. And the thing that I did before I even started selling, I really liked the product, first of all. So you have to really be behind what you're selling. You have to believe in it. You have to, from an ethical standpoint, it's got to make 100% crystal clear sense that, hey, this is going to be something that's really going to be helpful to somebody. And before I went out and really started talking to folks, I practiced. I would role play, and then I went out to some family friends and started talking to them, made a little bit of sales. I wasn't really anticipating like, hey, this is going to be huge, but with the family members. But the main thing that I was able to do from that was get referrals, Mike. And that's another thing we're going to be talking about on today's show is once you are getting in with an individual prospect, it doesn't matter if it's somebody that's selling you a home or a buyer or a private money lender, you have to make sure that whatever you're doing, you're giving them a huge amount of solutions to whatever problems they're facing, right, Mike?
Right. So right off the bat, think about it. How do you, when you get on the phone with somebody or they're calling you or you're reaching out to them in whatever form or manner or meeting them in person, how do you immediately, this is the question I get, how do you immediately come up to them and, don't stumble through it and, show them like, hey, don't come off as somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, even though maybe you are a brand new investor. And they're always concerned about, do I tell them that I'm a brand new investor? What do I disclose to them? I don't know much, and where do you go from there? And the answer's always been, well, be honest. That's probably the very first thing I would say. I mean, if you don't have to go off and tell them you're a brand new investor, but if they ask how many deals have you done, don't lie about it.
Right. And, the big thing, we put this up in our direct deal profits group the other day. And, I didn't really like when I heard this is fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm, yep.
And, for the pretenders out there, it's not, I don't really like that concept at all. It's something that really gets me like like upset that people would actually tell somebody to fake it till you make it. I'm a big believer in believe it until you achieve it. And the main reason why I say that is you have to rinse and repeat that several times, because once you achieve it, you're going to want to constantly be upping your game. So the believe it until you achieve it needs to be done several times. It could be quite a few for some folks. If you're not constantly achieving what you're setting out forth, then you obviously maybe have put together, a little bit too of a advantageous goal. So you need to set it maybe a little bit lower, because once you get that win, that first win with whatever business venture you're going into, it's like, you get this brand new confidence in yourself, right, Mike?
Yeah, and think about how it rolls off the tongue when you're not honest. If they say, if they ask you a very direct question, how many deals have you closed? And you're like, I've closed 5 deals. Maybe you're like, I've closed 5 deals, but I don't care how you say it. If you're not being honest, it still comes off, whether it's subconsciously or whatever, they can hear it.
Yeah.
And make that difference from when you're saying, when you achieve it, then you can say it, believe it till you achieve it. If I haven't closed my first deal yet, but I'm coming across some great deals, I'm working on those right now. That comes off real natural because it's the truth.
Yeah.
And then once you do get those deals closed, it comes off like, hey, I'm closed 2 deals so far,
Yeah. My big thing is honesty is the best policy. And I know I'm rhyming quite a bit on today's episode. But it's okay to be it's okay to come out with some raps, some lyrics, and I'm a big fan of Biggie and all that kind of stuff. So
one thing, a lot of people are listening to this with their headphones, so maybe a nice little number to bob their head to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But getting back to it, that honesty is always going to be the best policy with this. And then, just presenting yourself by, or how do you start presenting yourself from that point? What people want to know. Well, first, being upfront and honest, and then laying out, exactly what you can do. Part of what selling is, it's not pitching benefits. It's asking them a question and then laying out how you can solve that problem.
No, that's absolutely true. My big thing is when you're getting into sales, a regional vice president of mine, when I was at Countrywide Home Loans, he would always go around to the account executives. His name's Sean. I'm not going to give the last name, but our other individual, George, would also say this too. They would say pitch is at least 5 benefits as possible. And I'm like, well, why would I do that? Because first of all, the people don't really care what you have to, they don't care who you are until you actually form a relationship with them. But pitching benefits is just like everybody else. They all are going to be doing the same exact thing. So I want you to picture this for a second. You go into a doctor's office, Mike. The doctor's not going to be like, hey, wait right there. I already know exactly what's wrong. Here's what we need to do. Right off the bat, it's going to be a misdiagnosis because they don't know what's wrong with you. You haven't even opened your mouth and told them what's wrong.
And think about the patient. And as soon as if a doctor and you come in there and you're looking for help and they immediately start telling you what's wrong with you before you even say where it hurts, you immediately trust is gone. You're like, all right, this guy, not so much with this guy.
No, exactly. And you need to get to the point to where you become an individual that's a problem solver rather than a benefits pitcher.
Think about when you have problems and somebody is pouring benefits at you out of a fire hose, you're already overwhelmed. The last thing you need is be more overwhelmed by somebody who's like, well, I can solve all these things for you. Yeah, some of them I'm having problems with. You're talking about things I don't even care about. I got enough problems over here.
Yeah. And, some of the things, especially when you're talking to sellers on the phone, we don't ask enough questions in order to find out exactly what the problem is. Most of the time, we have a lead intake form, either it be online or offline, and you're jotting things down. And all we ask is just the normal questions that every other Joe Schmo asks. And it's, what's your first name? What's the address of the property? What's the bedrooms? Blah, blah, blah. We never really find out what is their problem? What prompted them to either call you, or if they took your call and maybe you were calling them,
Right.
what did like prompted them to at least hear you out?
What's the point of paying money to send out a mailer if you're not going to find out why they call you back? If you're just going to bombard them with stuff they don't want to hear.
Yeah, no, that's true. And you know, when somebody calls you, for example, and you're trying to figure out like what is the problem, well, you need to have them walk you through the property. You know, from a visual standpoint. Obviously, like let's say you're like one of our students, Tom. He's in Switzerland. He obviously can't come to Indiana every single week and take a look at properties.
But he's still got to sell himself as an investor that knows what he's doing over here.
So the best thing to do is have that seller, that prospect, talk to you. Like the best thing like I've ever found in sales is people love talking about themselves. So why not have them walk you through the property? So if I'm doing this, I'm like, hey, Joe, can you walk me through the front door of the house and kind of explain to me, like, what am I seeing? Like, tell me everything that I am seeing in this house on 123 Main Street. They're going to open up and they're going to tell you everything about, hey, that first entryway as you're getting in, like, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
And they're not only giving us a visual, but they're also doing a visual for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they're loving talking about, you know, their house, their property. They love talking about it.
Right. And they don't even realize at this point that you're gathering everything you need to know to close them. I mean, it sounds so harsh to say close them, but you know, you think about why you're closing them, because you have something you want to solve for them. So, you know, all that information they're willingly giving you. If you just sit there and, you know, shut your mouth for a little bit, they will freely tell you, hey, Jason, I have to move because I have a new job and I have to move. I don't have a choice, or, you know, I'm downside, whatever it is. You know, when you become as a problem solver, they're connecting with you, and that's it. You know, it's not a hard sell. You don't have to come in here like as a hard salesman and pitch yourself. You just got to be one that wants to help, to be honest, right?
No, it's absolutely the truth. You really have to come out there and not just be some salesman. There's this really funny commercial on CarMax right now, and the guy's carving out like a lion. And he said, hey, come to CarMax because we're not going to pounce on you. And, you know, most people in the car sales business, and I say most because there are some good ones out there, is they pounce on you as soon as you get through the front door. Same thing happens with a lot of real estate investors. They may take some course that tells them how to do this or that, and they get so excited when they get their first prospect that shows a little bit of glimpse, hey, I might be able to do something with you. But as soon as you may go look at the property or something, it goes completely in the other direction because you become a lion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of just, you know, an individual that is calm and is confident with what they're saying.
Yeah, you can always tell. I mean, I've probably been there before. You've probably been there before. But when somebody comes brand new to sales, and let's just say they took advice from somebody that just didn't lead them down the right path, I should say, or they took the education that wasn't the best fit for them. Because I think most education works. It just depends on the person. And you can always tell when they're kind of newbie and they didn't learn how to be, you know, how to use sales and implement that in their life, because it's in their life all the time. They hit it hard, and it's like you can feel it even when they're not marketing directly to you. You can feel their marketing hitting you, like, wow, this guy wants to buy my house right now. He wants to give me this much, you know, and he's not even talking to me, but I can hear him, and I really want to tune him out.
Yeah, and you know, if you think about it, you know, people are going to be like, well, lions are, you know, the most aggressive out in the wild. They really get what they want. They're the king of the jungle. And I'll just say this, you know, King Kong is totally bigger, Mike.
Well, and you know, he is a little bit bigger. And lions, people think that, yeah, but lions, they hunt smart. They don't burn energy. They are very stealthy about how they do things, and you got to be the same way. You sit there, you pick your moment. You know, lions, they read their prey. They read which one is the one that's hurt.
Yep.
Which one's the one that's going to need help from everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
That's the one I'm going to go after. I mean, you don't have to go at it like cutthroat like that, but look at it. Which was the one that I can help the most? And then read that one. You know, even the lions, they don't just go right after that one. They look, they see what's going on around it, and they put themselves in a position where it's going to be beneficial to the lion, but you do it to be beneficial to both of you.
Absolutely. And as you're talking to folks, a lot of people miss on their lead sheet like simple things that they can be like talking about and finding out. Like when you're having that experience of that prospect, that seller walking you through the property, you could be asking questions that you would normally ask, but they come across as to the seller like, I don't really want to, give them that information right now. But if, like, say for instance, Joe's walking you through from a visual standpoint to the kitchen, and they're, saying, hey, this is what's going on with the kitchen. And then you could be like, oh, well, let me ask you this, Joe, how's the plumbing to the sink? Is the dishwasher working good? And then they'll tell you, and then be like, oh, well, let me ask you this. Explain to me, or kind of walk me through, like, how does the kitchen look right now? Does it need a little bit of updating? Like the countertops, the cabinets, like, can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah.
And then they're visually telling you, okay, well, the cabinets, we built the house in the late 70s. It's the same cabinetry and countertops right off the bat. You're going to be writing this down. Main reason why is, do they have the money to put that house on the market as is and afford to lose money? Because most retail buyers, Mike, are going to want to pay top dollar for a property that is in current conditions as far as it's year 2018. I want to pay for, granite. I want to pay for, nice cabinetry. I don't want to have to rip off wallpaper and tear apart Formica countertops. That's going to cost a new buyer, a retail buyer, money. But from our standpoint, we can give that seller top dollar so they don't have to worry about, hey, if we're going to want to sell our property, we're going to have to put 20 grand in this kitchen.
Right.
And
you know what? It's funny because I think what people aren't realizing is you're going off a script of sorts. It's more of a checklist. Everything you said is off the fly, and everything comes naturally, and that's kind of how you have to let it. I mean, you can have a script, and I think scripts are great for practice, but when it comes down to actually being on the phone with the seller, just have the checklist: bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen. All right, these are the topics I need to talk. I need to ask questions about these areas, and just let the question roll off the tongue. Hey, like you were saying, hey, can you walk me through the bedroom? And then like you were saying, they're gonna have to rip off Formica countertops and wallpaper and things like that. You were talking to the listener, and I think that's great, but that's how you'd sell it to the seller. Like, hey, you don't want to do this. And you're not telling them anything they're not already thinking. It's already in their head. They don't want to do this stuff. You're just reminding them, hey, you don't want to do this. And, it's just a progression of questions. Like, write down a list. If you don't have a list, we have lists, right?
Yeah.
Lead checklists that you can go through. Go to our No Flipping Excuses Facebook page. I tell you what, just because of this podcast, we'll set it up. Type in lead checklist. We'll send you that lead checklist download for free. And all you got to do is go through those leads or go through those, topics, ask questions naturally like Jason did. And you're going to see a huge improvement on how you sell yourself, because now you're just asking questions, gathering valuable information, and positioning yourself as the doctor in their life, or the one that's going to be the savior of solving these horrendous issues.
Yeah. It comes down to, for us investors, we want you to feel like this is a virtual business. You can do this from wherever you want in the world. So the cool thing about this is you can ask these questions. And the great thing is, as you're going through this and asking the questions, it's leading to them giving you the information that you need in order to make them feel confident in accepting your offer. Mm-hmm. Because if you do everything the right way, I'm not going to say you're going to get 100%. That would be foolish of me to say, and I would tell you not to listen to me if I told you you're going to get 100% of every single sale.
Really?
Are you going to have a higher conversion ratio by doing this? Absolutely. I'd probably say you're going to be 3 to 5 times higher on conversion ratios.
Oh, easily. Very easily.
By asking these. Because once you find out about carpet, the roof, the bathrooms, the yard, the windows, and we could go on and on and on, but it's going to be in the checklist. Once you find out those things, and you could find out the ages, you could find out, hey, does that sound like something that you would want to update if we wanted to purchase the property?
Right.
And you could find out right then and there, like, no, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing too is you could find out about the taxes. Well, do you want to continue to pay those for, maybe another 6 months? You could find out those questions by just simply asking them questions that they need you to be a problem solver for.
Right. And you're also, by doing this, they're becoming invested in you by asking or by answering these questions. Every time you ask a seller a question about how their property looks or what needs to be fixed or what they do or don't want to do or accomplish, and they give you an answer, they're investing time into your question. They're investing time into you potentially being that one that can solve their issues.
Yeah, absolutely. When you can do that, that's going to set you worlds apart as far as, other investors that are out there, Mike. It's just going to make the world a difference, because when you could go out there and ask these types of questions to the individuals that are calling you. So if you're doing direct mailers, there's obviously a right and a wrong way to do direct mail, which, we could talk about on another episode. But if you're doing that, you're spending money on it. Obviously, you need to return on your investment. So don't blow it by just asking the normal questions that everybody else does. That's kind of like the big elephant in the room, right? Because you don't want to be like everyone else.
Right.
When everybody is zagging, you want to zig.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I was it was just random. I was actually just helping a friend find an apartment to live in. And this apartment building had 2 apartments, and it had a business, or retail space available. I was just talking to him, and they had said, yeah, I've had a lot of investors calling me and telling me all these numbers. And he was, like I said, I was just calling to find out about the rental property. That was a need. He had a need to fill that space. So I focused on that, but asked him questions about, possibly selling the property. And I got him, long story short, to the point just by asking these questions to say, hey, when you are ready to sell it, just give me a call first. I'm going to make you a cash offer. I'm not going to, kind of jerk you around like the rest of these people have been doing. And he was all excited. He said, you know what? You're right. When I am ready to sell, I'll call you first. And then we got back to the tenant, which I was able to help him find somebody to fulfill that spot as well. So again, helping him fulfill that need. And this kind of goes into what I was going to bring up. Consistency will bring him around to the point at some point where he's like, this guy fulfilled my need at one point, what's he going to do for me this next time? And you can do that with sellers by, if let's say they're not ready to sell their property, you can still send them, you're coming across their problem, you know what their challenges are. Maybe you send them a little bit of information. Maybe you send them a link or an article to something related to that. They get that sense of like, this is the person that's helping me. You're consistently sending them mailers. You're consistently reaching out to them. They're not always going to be that sale on that first one, like you said, but that consistency at some point will lead to that point. And that's still part of being a sales, by doing that all the time, by putting it in your calendar and making sure you do the follow-up. Why spend $1,400 on a mailer for the first time if you're not going to follow up with a phone call the second time, which was free for you, or whatever?
No, that's absolutely true. And you hit a really big spot for a lot of folks. And one of the big things that investors, don't do as well, and I want you to really take away from this podcast, I know we're talking about the don't do's and the do's in this. You really need to, figure out what's going to work ultimately for you, right? Because it's your business.
Yep.
Now, I will tell you this as well. The follow-up game has to be on point. You can't go without following up with these people, because I'll tell you, when I was working for Countrywide, one of the first things as a mortgage loan officer that I did wrong was I just assumed after I got, everything going with a customer that it was going to go. Everything was fine. I'm waiting for underwriting to be done. I'm waiting for the appraisal to be done. But what I didn't do between A and Z was all the other letters. There's obviously quite a bit of letters in between A and Z. And I didn't do those. And that cost me, I believe, a couple loans right off the bat, because I would call my individuals that we were doing a refinance for, and I'd say, hey, loan is clear to close. We're ready to go. And they would be like, well, we didn't hear from you. We actually closed last week with another person.
Oh, man.
So follow-up is always key, because here's the deal. It's going to set you apart big time. And the other thing is, by having a follow-up game in place, it normally takes anywhere between 6, 8, possibly even 10 touches before somebody really values the relationship between you guys to make a decision to where they're either going to go with you or maybe they're going to go with somebody else. More than likely, if you're doing the touches the right way, okay, it's going to lead to you getting and earning their business. Again, it's earning their business. So you really have to take that leap of faith forward in the follow-up. So normally what we do with folks is, when we're doing direct mail or they're coming through our email, is we do a nurture sequence for them for the life of them being in our database. So if they don't buy right off the bat, we'll do some stuff like on a weekly basis for the first 4 weeks. And then after that, it's bi-weekly. And then after that, it's monthly. So we'll go to a bi-weekly phase up until their 90 days of being with us. And then after that, we'll do monthly. And that could either be you're following up with them through email, text, phone, direct mail, so physical mail that you could be sending out to them. Maybe you want to send them something and it's completely random. And maybe it's just a thank you card. And it might just be like, hey, Joe, was thinking of you. We had a great conversation. If you need anything whatsoever, just feel free to reach out to me. Thanks, Jason. And you're not selling anything. I do that I do that follow up to folks all the time. And I don't put any pressure on them to be like, oh, shoot, does Jason need something?
Right.
No, I'm not doing that at all.
Right. In fact, and if you don't, maybe your budget's not going to allow for, sending out postcards, which, how hard is that when they're super cheap? And how many do you need to send out? But let's just say you're not in a position to do that. I still get thanked for sending out, just friendly reminder, thank you emails. Yeah. Hey, thanks. I appreciate, look forward to hearing from you whenever we scheduled our follow-up call.
Yeah. Mike did a great job with our last seminar that we did in Las Vegas, our No Flipping Excuses event. Everybody was praising how great of a job Mike did with making sure that they were taken care of, because it was a big event. We almost had 100 people there, and people's lives were going to be changing over the 3 days that we were going to be spending together. But every single person there knew who Mike was, mainly because he was following up with them relentlessly, but not in an annoying way. Everybody was so thankful, and they said, you guys put yourself apart. And this is no way for me plugging like any events or anything like that. I'm just telling you, this guy knows the follow-up game. That's what it's all about. That's where the sales come from. Either real estate sales, internet marketing, whatever you're selling, cars, whatever it is, it's all about that.
Yeah. Every time there's a yes or no, it's a sale being made, right? I mean, if somebody says, nope, not going to sell you my house. Yeah, they sold you. Or they said, yeah, I'm going to sell my house. You sold them on how you can help them. And you're right. The follow-up thing that's tremendous. I appreciate that people said that. And just the way I approach it is like the way you said, this is their life. And I always kept that in my mind when I was, and I'd get like a reminder to reach out to somebody. And if I was like really busy with something, I'd always think, this is their life too. How would I like it with somebody, reacting to my life? I would like them to take that seriously. So I would take every reminder seriously, call them back. If they don't answer, fine. They don't answer, they'll follow up into my drip again. They'll get another contact from me at some point. But at least I know I did 100% that I could do to make sure they were taken care of.
And that's great. The other thing too, and we'll kind of leave on this before we end into a tool that Mike has for you. And this is something that you're definitely going to want to hear, the tool that Mike has. But referrals, Mike, always asking for referrals. So if you did a really, really great job, this person is just hands down over the moon for you. You first of all need to get a video testimonial, because we're in the video age.
Yeah.
Video is huge. You have it for your website, you have it for your Facebook, your YouTube, your Instagram, all that stuff.
Yep.
But you always ask for a referral. Do you know of anyone else that is looking to sell their property? It's either yes or no. And don't put like a specific number down on people that you can follow up with. One of the things I learned that on early when I was selling knives for Cutco, I would always ask people, hey, do you have any family members or friends that would like to hear this presentation? And I would say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you put down as many people as possible for me to follow up with? And this was long before, this was 2001. So there was not anything around as far as like video, unless you had like a camcorder. It wasn't working. So it was all phone at that point for me. It was all phone. So literally, I wouldn't ask for a number, because if you ask for a number, if you say, hey, can I get 10 referrals? They're going to give you 10. They're not going to give you any more. They may actually give you a little bit less. But if you say, hey, can you give me as many as possible? I literally had people at that time, we didn't have smartphones, and it sounds like I'm talking like, hey, that was in the 1950s when cheeseburgers were 25 cents. That's not what it is. So people would literally take out like their binder of their address book, and they would start writing down names, and they would start writing down phone numbers for me. And it was awesome. It was a great, great feeling to get that. And that's exactly what you need to do, because if people really enjoyed you and they were extremely thankful for everything that you were able to do for them, you did their problem and you solved it. Well, that's going to be huge. And if you just ask for a simple, some time for referrals, that's going to be great. And after you've closed on whatever you've closed, you've got to continue the relationship. The relationship is just starting at that point. If you want somebody to turn into your biggest fan, your biggest supporter, then you're going to need to become somebody that follows up with them on like a monthly basis. You see insurance agents that you're with, they normally send you out something, once a month. Or if you've closed with a real estate agent, normally good real estate agents are going to send you something like once a month, just to, keep their face, their name in the back of your head. Maybe it's as a kid growing up, people would send us the magnets. We'd put them on our refrigerator and we'd always see them. That was good marketing. It's free marketing, especially when you have family members come over, they see it and they're like, oh, cool, or friends, whatever it may be. But from that standpoint, you got to ask for the referrals. You got to be willing to go above and beyond what everybody else is doing. And hopefully that's answering the elephant in the room.
I think so.
Because you don't want to be like everybody else, because if you're like everybody else, you're going to be settling, and settling means you're settling for mediocrity.
Right.
And we don't want that, right?
No, we don't. And it's, I think that is a great way to segue into the tool we want to talk about, which normally we would talk about in the very beginning, but the way you set that up was perfect. You don't want to be like everybody else. You want to separate yourself. So the tool we're going to talk about is called Plotograph. We talked about in the past about a website called Reshot, where you can get free stock images. This is an app that's free to use. It does give you a watermark. It's like $5 to take the watermark off. You don't have to. Free to use for the, for the app itself. But what it does is it allows you to take a still image and create motion. So it creates like a little 6-7 minute clip. No audio. You could obviously put audio on there if you want, but what it does is, especially with Facebook advertising, like if you're running Facebook ads, or if you're just trying to generate organic traffic to your page, video, like you said earlier in the podcast too, video is where it's at.
It is.
And the only thing that's tough about video is most of the time people are scrolling through on their phones. They're usually doing so in a public space. So the ones that have a lot of sound, they'll, like myself, I'll do it. I'll scroll right past it, or I'll turn the sound off because I just don't want everybody listening to what I'm listening to. But these don't have sound, so it allows people to sit there and it stops. and they stop and look at your video for 7 seconds because it looks really mesmerizing and cool, really easy to use, drives traffic to your Facebook page relevance goes up, and it also positions yourself. It's like, hey, this person's an expert. Like, look at the stuff they're putting out there. Look how different it is from everybody else's. Everyone else is putting up still images or regular videos. This person's in the middle with something really new and creative, a video image with no sound. And if you check our Facebook page, No Flipping Excuses, check my Facebook page, Jason's page, you'll see examples of some of these images. But it's Plotograph, and it's free on the App Store.
No, that's awesome. And it's a great tool that you could implement into your business like immediately. So as soon as this podcast is done, you could start putting that in your business right away. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I believe that is it for this particular episode. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you've just really enjoyed not just this episode, but the rest of the podcast, make sure that you become a subscriber, because when you become a subscriber, you're going to get and receive notifications of brand new episodes. And that's huge because you do not want to miss episodes. We've got some amazing guests that are coming on. Mike and I are doing shows like this to help you out. And if you need anything whatsoever, if you have a topic that you would like for Mike and I to cover on a future episode, let us know. And make sure you leave us a 5-star review. 5-star reviews are awesome, and we don't want anything less. So if you can give us a 5-star review, you are going to be in Mike's good graces, and that really says a lot. That really says a lot.
It does. And you know what? Where can they find some of the deals that we're talking about? Maybe they can get a resource for finding those?
Yeah, we have a source for it, Mike. If you go to our Facebook Messenger, right?
So Facebook Messenger, if you go to, we're actually going to have two things. One, we have our free deal evaluation downloads. So if you go to our Facebook Messenger page, type in free downloads, you'll instantly get those sent to you. But because of this podcast, I think it'd be great if we gave away access or easy access to the lead sheet. So same thing, go to the Facebook page, type in lead sheet. You'll have that download sent to you immediately. And then if you take that lead sheet, combine it with the tools we're talking about, the techniques we're talking about, you're immediately going to see results.
Yeah, and that's all free. So go ahead, check that out. Again, follow the instructions that Mike just said. It's super, super simple. That's what we're all about, having a simplistic business, not a complicated one.
Right.
So go out there, make it happen. Make sure you become a subscriber. Leave us a 5-star review, my friend. And again, we'll see you on the next No Flipping Excuses show. Take care. Bye now.
Thanks for listening. For show notes and links to anything discussed on today's program, visit noflippingexcuses.com. If you'd like to call the show, dial 317-900-1307, 24/7. Leave a message with your first name and where you're calling from, and include your question, comment, or concern. Who knows? You might end up on the air with Jason Lucchese. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. The links are posted at noflippingexcuses.com. Remember, you can close more deals now, make your own rules, and design and live an amazing life without having some jerk-off boss tell you what to do. Share noflippingexcuses.com with like-minded people you know who are ready for badassery, crushing it in real estate, and enjoying freedom to whatever you like, whenever you like it.